Willkommen, bienvenue, and welcome back to Tidy Tuesday on Friday, live with Light. For some reason, Audition did not recognize my microphone, so I had to switch it to something else and switch it back, and then it worked perfectly fine. What a world. So, we've got some Pretzel Rocks chill piano music in the background, because I don't know whether or not I'm going to be able to work on this machine right away, because I was trying to prep something for today's thing, but it's on my laptop, and it's not done yet. So you all might just get to listen to a little bit of music while I mull things over. But at least that is done. So that's something at least. We have loaded the data. Let's make sure everything looks good over there. Pretzel is letting us know what's actually going on, so that's nice. Okay. And if you need the music up higher, I can totally do that. It's a bit low because I don't know how the balance is, and I don't want it to be the main thing. It's down pretty darn low though. I'm gonna turn it up. Okay. That has the piano at about -40. High piano at about -30. Let's bring it up a little bit more. There we go. Okay. The other thing is still running. I don't know how long it'll take. So let's try a little something in the meantime. Because we need to make sure that we have the information that we need when that thing is ready. So what do we need? Is that... Man, R... Going back and forth between R and Python, there are just so many times that I'm like... What is it actually called? Because that's what I would want to do. Because there's summary, there's describe. Summary's okay. ID, primary, description, year published, min players, max players, playing 60,000. Excuse me, $9.99 for max players. A couple of outliers going on. Implementation, huh? Okay, own, trading, wanting, wishing is kind of a good metric for how in desire something is, because trading is they don't want it anymore, wanting is that they do want it, and no one has supplied it. Wish, it's okay, but we'd have to figure out the wish to sales sort of ratio. Now that's interesting. Having a mean to the right of your third quartile? That is so amazingly skewed. Wow. That's true of all of them. They're so far skewed to the side that their average is bigger than 75% of the other games. Hey there, Mac. We got some music going. It's probably louder than I would normally do, but given we're waiting on some of my other code to run before we can do what I actually wanted to do today, I figure we can have the music go and keep us company. Because what I really want to do is take this description field, quantify it, give it some nice numbers, and then either find games that are most similar to one another, or potentially summarize a game in one word, or create a network type graph showing groupings of games that are strongly similar. Possibly doing a hierarchical clustering of the games, see how many groupings there are based on how they are described. So we might as well investigate that a little more closely. So let's look at just like 10 of them. Wonder why there's so much extra space. Okay, so one thing we are definitely going to have to deal with are these line break characters. Because they, in particular, won't get caught by typical special character removal. Because that would normally catch these non-character things and remove them, but then you'll still have a bunch of 10s just lying around. Yeah, there's a bunch of HTML special characters that we should see whether or not R can handle. Did I set Pretzel to be YouTube safe? I did not. Let's make sure that's good. Okay. So the question becomes, should we write a regular expression to pull those out and see what kinds there are? Because we should be able to do that. I'm not the best with regular expressions, but I think I can probably manage that. So let's give that a shot. R extract with regex. Okay, so we grep the thing, give it the text. Yeah, you want the 12, not the full thing. That pulls out the part that Matt, well, yeah, that's a substitution. String extract, you give it the string, you give it the expression. From stringer. Okay. So, let's see whether or not we can make that work. So we already have stringer in here. So we should be able to do string extract. We give it the string, which will be this first one because it's got the tens. Or should we grab one that has the quotes too? Let's grab one with the quotes. So we grab this and 2. And what we're going to extract is it starts with and, can have any number of things, and then ends with a semicolon. Ah, we got a problem. Because it starts with this, and then it ends with a semicolon. So we need to make it such that it doesn't have any of the other stuff in between. Yikes. How do we... So we needed to have a thing, so not this or that. Maybe? No. Man, it's been so long since I've actually needed to use one of these, and how do we even make it work? Well, the internet should know X for HTML entities. Wow, that is quite the regular expression. Okay, so let's see whether this super efficient one does the job. Okay, so this is saying more than one of anything into it. And then IG. Doesn't find it. So that makes me wonder if it's just checking. Ah, yeah, it might need the bigger one. So let's try the super impressive one. And see whether the super impressive one does nothing. Hmm. I mean, that seems like it should work. Okay, so what this pulls is before the first one, which is a little odd. This should do pretty much the same thing mine did, which pulls from the first instance through the last instance. And so we need to figure out a way to change this part into something that ignores those two. Which is kind of what this is supposed to do. So let's use that. But we need a lot of them. Okay, so we have successfully extracted one HTML entity. But that begs the question of... Ooh, there's string extract all. Brilliant. And now we need to dump these into a set. And there is no set. It's in the sets library. Do we have that one? What is the point of having a set if it's a multi-set? Ew. Okay. So what we're going to look for are the used HTML entities. I'm going to set that as just a thing. And then we're going to loop through all of the descriptions and add them to this thing. Is it wise to just loop? R is not great at looping. And so typically you want to apply, but with text like this, I'm not sure it really matters. So for game let's just do 1 to 10. For now. We're going to extract the HTML entities from that. Okay, so unique HTML entities is the unique of that. So we're going to take this, and it will be the unique of the combination of itself and the unique HTML entities from the thing we just got. And then we can just say, what are they? Oh no, it's borked. Why so borked? I thought we fixed it. So instead, let's... Wait. How did I... That's how I borked it. Okay, unique from there. There we go. Clean, go. And then... Oh, right, they're lists. Silly lists. Brilliant. So we've got the line break, we got the quote, we got an M dash, and we got an N dash. I don't anticipate finding too many more than that. But who knows? I don't know. Oh, but we're also data people, so maybe, just maybe, we should count them up and see the distribution of the different type of HTML entities and see just how many more line breaks there are than everything else. It does sound like a data person thing to do. And so... RHE is that, then the unique is the unique of the RHE. Stay on target. That is not what we're here for. Just identify them so we can get rid of them. Okay, so if gmod 1000 equals 1, then print g. Save it. Oh no, it's borked. Unexpected token mod. Is it 2 of them? Ah, it is 2. $21,000? Why is there so few? I suppose it's games. 21,000 is probably not wrong. Okay, so there's quite a few HTML entities. Euros. Ah, going for those E graves and A acutes. So there are a few words that won't show up because we're extracting the weird characters. Oh, regex. I mean, it fits the pattern. How is it supposed to know that's not an HTML entity? And so, I actually know what this is from, because that is clearly for an expansion of Ticket to Ride. Okay, and so now that we have those, we know that there's only one that's really bad. Yeah, I think that one from Ticket to Ride, Scandinavia, is the only one that's actually bad. And so what we need to do is, instead of extracting them, we need to just replace it. We just squish them out, and we'll accept the losses from doing that one the wrong way. And so what we're going to do is, instead of extracting them all, we're going to string replace all. Okay. So, details, sub G, description, sub G equals string replace all, replace it with a space. And we're not tracking anything. So we don't need this. And what we're doing is moving HTML entities and one bit about Pennsylvania in ticket to ride. Okay. So we're very epically, thanks to Approaching Nirvana, replacing all of our HTML entities with a space. After doing that, we do it again, but this time we need to match no, it's not what I want. Move special characters. Yeah, this is the one that I was probably thinking of. Because we just want typical Roman characters. So anything that isn't a number, a lowercase letter, or a capital letter, we poof it into just spaces. And then we want to take any white space and shrink it down to just one white space. Is it /W? Regex white space. /S. Okay, so what we're doing is we are pulling out all of the HTML entities, pulling out anything that's remaining that isn't letters and numbers, and then pulling any multiple white spaces in a row and making them just one. So what this should leave us with is a relatively tokenized thing. But then we also need to do a lowercasing operation. And I believe in R, that's just a stir to lower. Okie dokes. So, bit bam. That should leave us relatively tokenized text. we're still going to run into the problem that it's not lemmatized. I can never keep track which one's which, but there are a lot of different forms of the same verb. Do we want to have all the different versions? Do we want one core stem? And so we run this. It'll take a little bit of time. It would appear that it did not do what I asked. /s is an unrecognized escape in character string /s. Perhaps this was the problem.
All right. I'll tell you the truth.
Nope. Oh, I think I know what the problem is. We need to escape the slash such that it gets the slash, such that it's the right regular expression.
Remember all the happy times we had?
Okay, so now it's all lowercase. There is no punctuation. It is just a big old pile of words. Still not perfect, because whenever you remove the apostrophe for something possessive, you end up with a leftover S that is not attached to the previous word. But again, we are not here for super high quality, accurate natural language processing. We are here to get a general sense.
I'll tell you the truth.
And so now we've got a bunch of words. Once we have my other code that is still running, and then a little bit of code after that, we would be able to break this apart, give each one of these a value, take an average of those values to get the location of this game in a concept space. So at the very least, we will need to be able to break this apart. And we're probably not going to put all of it back in. So what we're going to do instead is get the description. Man, this is very nearly Final Fantasy X music. Now, it'd be really interesting if we were able to take a column tidy-wise and just pass it in through. Such that we could just pipe it into here, into here, into here, into here. So let's see if we can do that. place it missing with no default. Did not work, because normally this would take that, put it in the first place, and then you put the next two. And it didn't do it. And so we're probably just fine doing it the way we did. Okay, so next up, we get a... Is it a vector or a list when we do this split? It's probably a list. So what we're gonna do is string split our description on a space. Gonna just do 10 for now. Yeah, so it gives us a list. Can we do it as vector? Hey there, Taron. How's it going? Well, that didn't do a thing. Okay. Now we've got a thing that's not a list. Because lists are a little weird sometimes. Okay, and then we would apply something to this. Well, let's see whether or not it's good to apply things to a list. Yeah, because like this is really meant for an array. And it's really meant for things that are more than just one dimension. So, for example, if we tried to apply something to this list. This should fail spectacularly. Right. The dimension must have positive length. We need it to be 2 dimensions. What if we lapply? Lapply does not use... Oh! That still seems to work. So let's sapply, see what it returns. So sapply returns a data frame with 1 column. Which might actually be better for us. Because what we're gonna do is apply a function to it that takes this word and turns it into a 300-dimensional vector. And thus, we'd have a lot of columns, and then however many rows this is, and then we'd essentially just average all of the stuff together. And then renormalize it back onto the surface of the sphere. And that would be good. We would just need a good number batching function that would go right here. Supposing my other code ever finishes running. Which begs the question, is there just a ready-to-go R word to Vec? Because, I mean, I would love to use ConceptNet number batch, but if it's not going to be done, it's not going to be done. Really like the way I explain everything when you gotta sleep? Well, then get yourself some sleep. Sleep is good for you. Okay, so here we have word to vec. Construct a word to vec model. I don't want to train the model. I mean, while that would be interesting, do we not? So all of this would be really great if we had a word to vec model just laying around. Hey Jensim, you got some just laying around? Once again, if we weren't just trying to get it done, this would probably work. We'd head over to Python. And the trouble is that the models aren't good to go unless you're using their code, and most of the code is written for not R. Let's just be honest on that one, that it's written for Python or C++ or something generally faster and more engineer-driven than analyst-driven. And so I wrote a thing that was trying to convert ConceptNet number batch into something I could use. But there's one part that would make it very slow if I tried to use it as is. And I'm trying to convert it the one time such that it's good to go quickly for the rest of time, but it's taking longer than I expected. And trouble with R and things like that is that you're never 100% certain if when it's taking a long time, it's because it needs a long time, or because it got confused and is never going to stop. And either are a reasonable possibility. Because this ConceptNet data set has a ton of quote-unquote words. It's almost 300,000. But I believe there are a couple of characters in there that are not standard English, despite it being just the English file. So that almost 300,000 is just for English. Yeah, so that's a bit of a shame that we can't just make that, just snap our fingers and everything's great. So from here, what do we do? Do we want to keep working with this and like maybe try to make something out of this? I don't think we're necessarily going to gain a whole lot by trying to work with these words, because you're not going to have enough context just in the descriptions of board games to get a sense for co-occurrence that's really meaningful. That's why we're going to do the semi-supervised thing of grabbing the ConceptNet number batch, bringing that in, getting some info. Okay, so let's try something a little different. Okay, so a little something different. Let's take a quick look at the trading versus wanting, because these I would expect would be opposite of one another. Supply and demand tend not to go in the same way at the same time. If there were people wanting, you wouldn't have a bunch of people trading, because then you'd just balance one another out. But that might not be the way it works, because markets aren't always what you expect them to be. So we're gonna plot details. We're gonna have X be wanting or trading? Wanting or trading? Let's go with wanting. And then Y equals trading. And then we're gonna do this with geom point. We're just gonna make a scatter plot. I don't think we even need more aesthetics than this, but we also don't want to plot all 21,000 points. So we're gonna have to narrow this down a bit. Yeah, we should probably narrow it down, like, drop out the edges, because you'll probably have something that's super popular and out of print that's just got a ridiculous number of wants. Or a game that's absolute garbage that has all of the trades. Quantile. Also, who is texting me? Probably my wife. Okay. So now we should be able to filter it. So quant limit is... Hey there, Roaring Dragon, how's it going? Okay. So it's gonna be trading is bigger than bottom and less than the top. And then the same for wanting. Okay, can I multi-select in this? I know you can do it in VS Code, but we're not in VS Code. Okay, then if we just check our quant limit, should be a bunch of trues and falses. Should not be that many falses. In December, you finished Google's data analytics certificate. Looking for job similar to this stream. Neat. Well, let's see how many are left after we remove our quant limit. Wow, we still have almost 19,000 out of the 21,000. Huh? Wow. Okay, so let's drop the equals. That drops a bit more, but that's still a lot. Okay, so we now have a quant subset where we took out the outliers and we're still left with a lot, which is, it's good. Now we want to pull just a random subset of that. So the question becomes, which one? Set our seed, and then we need to pull just some. And then we ask ourselves, how does R actually do it? Because we know too many languages. Okay, we don't want to replace, so we're probably just going to sample from 1 to the number of rows of our details quant sub. And we're going to pull, let's say, 200 of them. And here we are. Let's see whether or not we can just do a quick transformation. And we got ourselves a plot, which shows, counter to what we were expecting, that you'll end up instead with a similar number of people wanting versus trading. You lose a little bit in these corners, and so it's scrunching in a little bit, but it's still, yeah, kind of all over the place. And actually, you end up getting lines like this in here, where they're scrunching together more than they are down here. And so we might be better off with some sort of heat type map, which I don't know how to do off the top of my head. So ggplot, heat map. Less heat map, more density. Because like this, it's hard to read. this is more what I'm talking about. Oh, I love the hex bin. And I like the contour plots too. So let's try this one. Let's get rid of that log. I think the log might be messing with it. Nope. It's just a bit confused. So yeah, let's do the... Yeah, let's try the hex bin. Yeah, it's running into the same sort of problem. Let's put the logs back in. Let's cut back on the bins. And then cut out the sampling because having a lot of them is fine in this sort of situation. That doesn't really help a ton. Yeah, because there's a lot in this small area. So instead, let's just include instead of $5.95, let's just put in a nice raw fitty. Right, should actually use the shrunk one. Okay, so that doesn't reveal a lot. Let's shrink it even closer. Yeah, and this doesn't help because now it really should just be a heat map. Jump in 2D. Yeah, because it really does seem to just be radiating out from 0, no matter what scale we look at. Yep. pretty well balanced, side to side. Man, my other code is still running too. So yeah, that doesn't tell us a ton. So next up, we're gonna join excuse me? Okay, so that worked. I don't know why it didn't work the other way. Okay, so what we want to keep is the ID, the primary name, let's say the description, the average rating, and the wish. It's called wishing, I think. It's called wish list. Nope. Oh, right, we need to pass it like that. Yeah, I know. Haha! Totally works. Okay. So now we have a table with the games, their names, their descriptions, but more importantly, their rating and their wish list amount. So one would expect if we take this and then we do the aesthetics of wishing versus rating. One would expect this to go just up. But then you run into the problem of having too many wishes for some, and it's hard to tell otherwise. So let's log the wishing to expand the left side out, which is a bit of a problem down here in the 0 area. Jackie Tran, how's it going? Love seeing your January stuff. Doing all right, doing all right. Had some code running such that I could do some natural language processing using concept net number batch, but it took way longer than expected, and by way longer I mean it's still running. Working on day 29. Nice. So now we've changed our tack a little bit, and so we're investigating things that one would think that we would know, one of which being whether the people trading and wanting the games run counter to one another. You'd think that if there were more people trading them, there would be fewer people wanting them because of supply and demand and whatnot, but it turned out that, well, it's not necessarily the case. And so now we're investigating whether or not, invalid plot index, whatever. Whether or not the more people wishing for a thing is related to having a higher rating. And it looks like it kind of is for a while, but then it kind of peters out when you get to a relatively average rating. So once again, let's try to bend this and try to make a better shape. Oh. Can we do that? Never tried that before. When in doubt, add 1 before logging. You don't want to log a 0. Yeah, really what I wanted to do, it isn't necessarily in the spirit of Tidy Tuesday, but I wanted to use concept net number batch to be able to take the description of the game and then distill it down to a single word that may or may not have even appeared in the description. But the problem is, that's not the sort of thing you can do at the drop of a hat if you don't have the infrastructure for it. And I don't do NLP all the time, so I don't have that just laying around. I've done some things with it before, yes, but not this and not on this machine. And so I wanted to get it up and running in R, because I've done it in Python a couple of times with that stuff, but never in R. So I was like, I'll just do it. I'll get it ready. I'll set it up. It'll be lovely. And it's just been running and running and running. And I know bless its heart, it's not great with looping and extracting and doing shenanigans. And so I should have used something else. I should have just kept my Python code and written it out into something that I could load into R. But I started that a couple of hours ago. You never know what's gonna be easy until it's hard. So yeah, here we've got an interesting little something. And so, from here, what I kind of want is a nice spline. And I know ggplot should be able to do that. So we just look it up and we do it. Yeah, geom smooth. And so we come back, swap out our hex for smooth. Really? Well, that's interesting. Yeah, actually, the 0.2 is probably better. forgot the plus. Okay, what is the default for geom smooth? Oh, it's probably using low S, isn't it? Okay, so low S is used for less than 1,000. Otherwise, it's using a generalized additive model. Formula, splines, BS is CS. So basis spline is cubic? Pretty sure that's what that means. Yeah. Order n squared, not going to be great for 20,000 points. But yeah, cubic spline's probably a reasonable choice for that. So you see a little bit of a bend, but for the most part, it's just going up. So then, what do we get if we don't use the log? Yeah. So this is much harder to deal with because you just have a ton super squished together. Now this one would be way harder to interpret. Doing a log-log plot on things where you're not trying to tell whether or not it's a good fit. Yeah, that one's not worth much. So also we should probably take a quick look at just a little bit of, oops. Because I think owned might also be kind of important. And then on this, do size equals log of owned. Excuse me? The aesthetic size is owned. Mariah had that same thing happen. Where I was like, wait, why can't it see it? Oh, right. Okay, so using the log, not enough differentiation. Yeah. So you can see over here, they're bigger. So I kind of want to do... the relative ownership compared to the people wishing for it? No, I want to do it the other way around. Because I want to have wishing per owner. Because then you'll have a couple of interesting things like these two, where there's significant interest in the game, even though it's not super popular. Let's fill it with that too. Get a little redundant encoding going on. Except I don't see it. Yeah, it's not doing it. That might be why. Because it's supposed to be color, not fill. Yeah, that doesn't belong in there. Okay, so all of that is mildly interesting. And so we might need to call it on the number batch stuff because it's just not doing anything. Like, it's just still running. I did not expect it to take hours to be able to parse it, clean it, and save it. I know it's 280,000 words. But it just makes me think that it's not actually processing them. Like, it found some character it didn't like, and now it's like, you know what? I'm not doing it. And here we are. Oh, we're back to this song again. So let's swap to a different station. Okay, so none of this has done a ton that's super interesting. So like Jackie was saying, what do you do with such a weird data set? How do you find something worth something? When your original plan just doesn't quite get you there. Because we have other fields that we can poke around at. There are categories, there are mechanics, there are creators. So yeah, let's look at the people who made the game. So details. Board game designer. Okay, so we've got lists. That's quite the name. Frederick Henry. Wonder why Gildore is in quotes. Oh, this is probably JSON and they needed to escape it. Okay, so if we take the first one, we got good old Matt Leacock. Of Pandemic fame. And so we need to turn this string into a list. So if we just say turn it into a list, it puts that text into a list. No good. So we ask ourselves, parse JSON. There's probably a JSON library. JSON Lite. Let's try JSON Lite. I don't think I've ever used it before. So maybe we have used it before. Maybe not. Okay. And then it was from JSON? Yeah. Invalid character in JSON text. right here. Because it didn't start it as an object, eh? I wonder if I could... Because it isn't true JSON. It's just the JSON style list. I mean, I could just do it myself. No, I want not that. Nope, that doesn't do what I want. Kind of figured. So let's just double check that we know that that's how that works. The trouble is we need, is it Sterling? Really? number of characters. Everybody does it a different way. Okay. So we have stripped the box. Come on, give me one that has more than one. Schwadel. Okay, now we got two. Now... Oh, but that one, it had strong quotes inside too. That's fine. We need to replace all. And then there we go. We have successfully split the multiple designers. So now because for now, all I'm interested in is how many games did each one make? Wait, stop. It's wrong. Oh, that's a list. Unlist it. Okie dokes. A lot of people. Number 1 is uncredited. Number 2, Rainer Knizia. Joseph Miranda, Wolfgang Kramer, Richard H. Berg, Bruno Cathala, Dunnigan Wallace, Ernst Essig. Just Junior. Alan R. Moon. Pretty sure that's Ticket to Ride. Steve Jackson, I think, is Munchkin. Klaus Teuber sounds familiar. I can't quite place it. Uwe Rosenberg, I know I've played some of their games. The problem is, I think most of the people that I would know might be farther down the list. Antoine Bauza, I recognize the name, but I don't know from which games. Lars Schwartel. Because then the next interesting thing would be to get their average rating. And so while we're pulling them from here, ooh, let's check something. Designer table sub Rainer Knizia. Okay, so that does work. And so if we did 1 over that, okay, so that's good. So if we were to also make something, okay, so this would be the designer's name. Okay, so now we need to check whether or not that designer is in, like, that key exists. should be able to use the in keyword for that. So if this is in the total, then this total indexed at that plus equals details sub g details average sub g. This is not Python. Always got to tell yourself when it's not Python. Okay, so this equals itself plus the average score, so we're totaling up all of their scores, and then at the end we'll divide it by how many such scores there are. Else, so if it's not in there already, it equals the first score it saw. Right. So for now, let's just do the first 5. Okay, so designers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got the designers table. And then 4 in 1 to the number row of designer total. How do we... How do we get the names? Do we just ask for names? Wait. Why does designer's total not exist? Okay, so it's currently empty. Why is it still empty? Because it should either add something in or just put it. Oh, if the length of DS is nothing, length is 1, so we should have a thing right in here. Yeah. Okay. False, so that should come down here. Okay. Designers dot total sub whatever is whatever. And yet, perhaps we are trying to put nothing into it. We are. Wait, where's... Oh, right, the ratings aren't in there. We need to use... We actually need to use the one that actually has the ratings in it. And it's just called Board Game Designer. Did I miss another one? Okay. Right. So, step one, check that it actually does what it's supposed to. Okay, prints the names. Gets their scores. Nice. Then we divide it by designers table. Brilliant. Really? Stop printing false. I know it's my fault. Stop doing it. Okay, so this will run for just a little bit, and it'll calculate each designer's average rating. If I were to actually plot this, I would be more likely to keep the actual full data such that we could get a box plot. But with however many hundreds of game designers are in this list, I don't know how one could even fit it. And yes, in case you were wondering, my other code is in fact still running. Okay, what was that code doing again? Okay, so what this does is it grabs all the data that we're interested in regarding the board game designers and the average rating their game has gotten. It loops through each of the games. This takes the text that said what the names of the board game designers were, they put it in a list. Instead of just name, comma, name, they put the names in quotes, and then they wrap them in a box to let you know that it's an array. It's a nice thing if you're using JavaScript, but if you have a thing that doesn't understand JavaScript, you have to parse it your own darn self. And so here we are parsing that code to separate out the names into a couple of names instead of a bunch of text. From there, we see whether or not they are already in our count of their total score. If they are not, you add them in. If they are already there, you add the score to their existing score. If you try to add a score to a non-existent score, it freaks out because a non-existent score isn't necessarily 0. It could be whatever random bit was hiding in memory at the time. So it doesn't let you do it. I don't know how that's still a thing in 2020. In a programming language designed for analysts, in C++, I totally get it. You're all about efficiency. You don't want to be checking all the time if something is or was or should be 0. But this is R. It's already not fast. You're not going to make it insufferable by checking and assuming that things are 0 if you haven't put anything there. Whatever. So what that does is keeps track of their total overall score. So each game gets a score, you add it on top, on top, on top, on top. And you just keep looping. And then you take those designers and put them in a list. Then this table function takes that list and counts up how many times it sees each person's name. So this designers table has a list of their names and how many games they've created. This designer's total keeps track of their total overall score, such that when you divide their total score by how many games they've published, you get their average score. That's what it's currently calculating. And now we've got a list in decreasing order of every game designer that is listed on Board Game Geek and their average overall score. And so we just want to see the top 100. And so there's a bit of a problem with this method. When you just look at averages, we really should have confidence intervals around these, because it might be possible that these 4 people released one game and it got a 9.5, a 9.57. And so you'd be less certain about that 9.57 compared to someone who might have a lower score, but they've released 30 games. And so if we were to improve this, okay, to improve this, we're gonna do something a little bit Bayesian. So to do so, we find the average rating of the average game. So we just take this. So the average rating of the average game is 6.4. So we're gonna call that average. So now, what we do is we take this. Now we're going to make an adjusted mean. And our adjustment is we're going to give everyone one average game score, and then divide by one more than the number that they sold, or the more than they made. So this way, every single person gets one average score. Which assumes that everybody should have gotten the same score unless they're awesome. And so we need evidence that they were awesome. And one game is not evidence. But one really good game is better evidence than one kind of good game. So we give everyone one average rating and divide by one larger. And then we see how that changes the final results. I would expect that these folks are not going to be at the top anymore. So let's remember these names: Francois Denis, Ludovic Rivoal, Nicolas Fuchs, and Cyril Terpent. I don't expect them to still be at the top after this adjustment. And yet, here they are. And so it appears to be a fairly similar list. But maybe not. Hernandez, Tung, Wesley, Cuervo. Hernandez, Tung, Wesley, Cuervo. So it remains relatively unchanged. which I find to be a bit odd. But it's entirely possible that the people who put out a bunch of games, they just have higher variance. And so they've got some just real low scores that come out that drag their average down. Now, granted, they had a 9.57, and that got dragged down to an 8 by a 6.4. So that's 1.6 below, 1.6 above. So yeah, they only have the one game. They have that one 9.5. Which I think is too low to be Gloomhaven. So let's see. Ludovic Rioval. Was it Rioval? Rioval. Malhia, Lands of Legends. So yeah, we knew those four all worked on the same game. We didn't know what the game was, but we knew it was the same one. And so 41 ratings puts it at a 9.5 plus or minus 0.6. So it might be as low as a 0.9. A 9.0, 9.89. Could probably go 2 standard deviations lower, 8.3. But that's still pretty good. Like, given the average game on here is a 6 point something, and the average good game is only 7.5. So, for example, let's look up a game I really like. I know it's not the best thing to be looking up these days, but Pandemic is quite an enjoyable game. I've played quite a bit of it. 7.5. Let's see what else is really good. Arkham Horror 2005. It's only got a 7.3. I get it. The game wins a lot of the time. Gloomhaven has a ridiculously high rating. I'm trying to think other games that my friends and I enjoy playing. Let's look at Space Base. I've never heard anyone say a bad thing about Space Base. 7.6. So I am curious about whether one should go with the average rating, which is from the users, or the geek rating, which is from experts. But then again, what? How do they calculate that? Well, how about we find out? Should probably tell us. I don't know. Let's check Settlers of Catan. Not of Canaan. Yeah, the trouble with Settlers is there are just so many expansions and reworkings and everything. Yeah, so here are those stats on owning wish lists. Trades. $7.1. This is one of those games that's a introduction into the field of serious board games. And so I would imagine these more quote-unquote casual games will get lower ratings because the people who give ratings on this site are serious board game people. And so yeah, 7.4. Really incredibly popular game. Gets a lot of people into playing board games, but you ask someone that likes Kanban, which one? Probably this one. Yeah, you ask someone who likes Kanban, got a 7.8, what they think of Settlers, and they'll be like, yeah, okay, whatever. Now, I personally have not gotten to play Gloomhaven. It's really quite intense to get people together to be able to go through a game like this. It's a legacy RPG game. It's incredibly detailed and engaging, but if you don't have a group of people that can get together for hours and hours, not just in one day, like this isn't Twilight Imperium, but you need a couple of hours fairly regularly to be able to get through this game. And it's not that easy to get enough people regularly to do that are into games of this type. Speaking of Twilight Imperium, have I played I think I played the 4th edition once. I think I mostly played the 3rd edition. And so this one gets an 8.6. I don't know how you can give Twilight Imperium that high of a score and not give it to Settlers. Look at this weight. That is a heavy game. This is one where you need to set aside a Saturday and not have to do anything on Sunday either. Like, this is a full day game, and you'll probably be done by midnight. There was one time I don't think we were. I think my code might be done. The problem is then I need the code to be able to use it properly. It's like Civ 6 in board game form. It kind of is, but in space. Okay, I don't think I've got the energy to actually take this thing that had been running for a long time and try to make it work. but I am going to save it, and I might want to come back to this and give that another try. I don't know if I'll do that this weekend or next week or whenever, but I think that's a thing worth doing, because I do want to try more things with natural language processing, and having that tool ready to go the next time this comes up, that's what's priceless. Oof. But now it's a big old file that it needs to save again. So it's gonna have to write probably almost a gig worth of data. Probably should have encoded it better, but that's a whole other story. Okay. But we've done a few interesting data things. They weren't necessarily TidyTuesday oriented. But we did a little bit of plotting. We did manage to get a thing that, it's okay. It doesn't tell a great story. I really would have liked to have done the other thing, so we might try to get that going. So now the decision is whether I want to just call it a night, if I want to play more Vampire Survivors, if I want to play a little Minecraft. I don't want to start any new games tonight, I don't think. No, I don't think so. Could play a little bit of Skull the Hero Slayer. Could do any number of things. But as for the Tidy Tuesday, I think I'm going to call it here. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and then I'll probably be back with something, but I don't know what. So stick around if you want to stick around. Don't if you don't. And thank everybody who stopped by.